Welcome to the Change Book Podcast. My name is Rachel Best, and this is our co-host.
I'm Nicole Harvick.
And this is the Change Book series. It is the fastest growing self-empowerment book series on the planet.
This spans over 30 countries, and we now bring them all together in a powerful podcast destined to change people from all corners of the globe.
So go ahead and grab your pen and paper, because our guest today is going to share a lot of amazing tips and inspiration that you're definitely going to want to write down.
Well, it's Monday, so welcome to the Change Book Podcast, everyone. I am here with my co-host, Rachel Best, and I'm so excited. And we have a co-author here today, Princess Merrily, and she was in book 16. So this is kind of fun because I haven't met a lot of people from the other books. So I'm really excited for this interview. So Princess Merrily, can you tell us why you chose the Change Book to write in?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer because we have Jim Lutz and Jim Britt, who are amazing people. And, you know, if you come across these two men and they invite you to be in their book, the answer is going to be yes.
That's how I feel too. And I can even remember being on the phone as Jim Lutz was explaining it to me. And I just heard, you have to do this. You have to do this. And for me, it's been an amazing experience. So, and you were in book 16, correct?
Yes, correct. That was a while ago, huh?
Well, I think we're on 21 now. And that just goes to show you this is something that's continuing. So it must be pretty darn good. And it is. So what did you write about in book 16?
The problem with women.
Uh-oh. Well, we might as well put our toes in that one a little bit. What's wrong with this? And what can we do better?
Well, you know what? It's kind of a tricky title because I said the problem with women, but basically it talks about generational pain and, you know, why, you know, our need for safety is passed down from generation to generation, and basically because of our interaction with men. So, you know, at the end I said, but what if men were different?
Yeah.
Not to blame men, but to understand women a little bit more.
And what do you suggest? Like, I was married to a narcissist for 25 years, so I could do nothing right. How do you like reframe that to where I couldn't tell him anything, couldn't ask anything. It was always met with negativity. How would someone reframe that to get a conversation started where they might be able to see us through a different lens?
You can't.
You can't.
No.
I'm single for life.
Well, you're talking about the narcissist. You're talking about your ex, right?
Yes, he was.
Right. So right, but in essence, are you asking me how to change them so they see you?
You know what, if we're talking about men in general, I mean, I know not every man is a narcissist, or there would be none of us would be married. So just men in general, what is the advice you give or you want people to know about changing how a man looks at a woman?
Well, okay. First of all, I don't focus on either man or woman. I focus on love. And so with my teaching, the same principles apply to both of us. So we both want respect. We both want love. We both want understanding and patience. We want to be treated in a certain way. And it's not that we don't want respect. We do, right? But the teaching out there pretty much is men need to be respected, right? Women need to be honored. Well, and both do. We both do. She's the flower. He's the protector. We both do. We understand our roles, but what creates the role in each gender is that you're going to follow the honor a little bit different. Like a man wants to be loved and honored and respected. Well, he has to elevate who he is in order to get that from a woman. Otherwise, she's raising him. And if she feels she has to raise him and mother him, well, she's not going to respect him.
What an interesting way to look at that. And I truly believe there's so much truth in that. And I'm just wondering, are we conditioned as a society to not behave that way?
To not behave which way?
To not honor the man and not treat them with respect.
Well, it's a kind of a funny thing. Women will complain that men aren't men, right? But who's raising them? Oftentimes it's women. So women are coddling their boys, right? They're doing everything for their boys because it's our nature to provide and to nurture. And we're doing this for that boy that turns into a man. And still the woman wants to do this. But if he doesn't have a male role model, understanding what it is to be a man, he'll continue to be a boy.
Wow. That I've never even really heard of this concept, but when you talk about it, it makes so much sense. So how do we come to like meet each other on a level where we're enhancing each other and one's not raising and one's not mad? And how do we get to that level?
Accountability. So, right, it's not my job to make you who you are. It's your job to make you who you are. Right? So if I'm a man and I understand what the ideal man is in my eyes, who he is, what he does, what the role he plays, and I strive to be that. A woman comes into my life and she understands it has nothing to do with her. I've chosen this for my life, for who I am. Immediately she will respect him. She will want to, and then she's safe to coddle him, nurture him, love him, and make him more, enhance who he is, because he's already taken the role of who he is. When you have a man who doesn't have direction, doesn't know how he's supposed to treat himself, how he's not going to know how to treat her. And then now we have, a bit of confusion as to whose role, who does what, and then there's resentment. And there's expectations, and then there's blame, and the relationship falls apart.
Wow.
I would say too, with that like, do you find if the identity goes big into that, if men know their identity and who they are and what they're created for, then everything that you just said, because they're solid in their identity, so then they're not like expecting, or maybe not even expecting, but it just kind of happens, and like you said, like so many moms are raising their boys and they coddle them and do this and do that, and us as women, and even as single, I don't know why that just did thumbs up, but even as like being a single mom.
We can't hear you, Rachel. Oh, no, can't hear you. Well, we will go on with this interview, and she's got a beautiful smile, so that always looks well. But Marilee, I know, did you write the second book? And your second book is The Game: Winning by Virtue, One Move at a Time. Did you write it as part of this book we're talking about, or is this something completely different?
Completely different. It's a standalone book.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what I've done in The Game is I have simplified the complexity of love by learning how to play a game. Now, people immediately will say, well, there's no games in relationships, and turn it off because it's a premature judgment call. And it's not what it is at all. Basically, what it does is it teaches us how to have boundaries, where our standards are, how to recognize your player, who's in front of you. It eliminates all of the confusion about everything that's coming at you at once in life, to isolate what is important in this moment, and then not overthink it, overreact, over-explain. You're still just moving one at a time. Okay.
One move at a time. So just like a game of chess or checkers, right? You don't
Correct.
project into the future or look back into the past. You just
That's right. And you don't try to play your player's side of the board, which a lot of people do. We fall into, don't do that. Well, if you do that, this is going to happen. Well, and so the threats start to come, and then the direction starts to come, and this, instead of understanding, just play your side and watch what they do. They're going to show you exactly who they are, and you can stop the pain. Stop investing in people who will never invest in you, who are going to ultimately hurt you. They're not going to be good business partners, not good, private and not private, but relationships. They will not be good parents. You can see everything in that person that needs to be worked on. Not to judge. It's just when people are hurting, they act a certain way. And when you can identify this pain, then you understand that needs to be resolved. And I'm not the one to resolve it. Right?
And yeah, exactly. Because we all have to do our own work.
Right.
Rachel knows that. I know that. You know that. And I think sometimes people come into a relationship thinking it's going to complete them or heal them. But if you're not healing on your own, it has to be kind of a solo journey. What do you think about that?
It is a solo journey, but when you're thinking about as an adult, most people were not raised in love with an absolute clear concept of what love is. We're winging it. We can fall in love as a child. You're in 8th grade and you got your first love. You go into high school, and maybe even then you have a teenage pregnancy. You don't know what you're doing, but you got to wing it with whatever you have. And even if you didn't get pregnant in high school, but you're still winging it. You're trying to figure out who I am in this world, and people are coming at you constantly, and they're probably not very nice. You don't understand the manipulation. You don't understand the agenda. You don't understand the abuse. And so you're just weaving back and forth through life, but you never know what's here. So when you bring that child into the world, that's where you get the generational pain. Mm-hmm. And then people have to go back in and heal that inner child. Well, in the meantime, you still have a job to do. You're in a relationship. You've got to be married. You've got to raise your child. You've got to get along with your coworkers, and you've got all of these things coming to you, people's personalities, their emotions, their problems, their pain, and you don't know how to navigate it. So then life becomes very difficult, and you don't even like people. And you hear people go, I like my dog more than I like people.
I think I've said that. No,
right.
I'm that person.
Right. And we want to learn how to love each other again, like truly, honestly appreciate each other, because now we know what we're doing. It's like, wow, I didn't realize I was manipulating this situation. I didn't realize I was the cause of my own pain. I didn't realize that I was so reactive. Right. So when we realize these, that's what the game does. It's a mirror for ourselves, and it helps you to identify your player. So when you're doing that, when you're identifying, oh, I see, it helps you to have compassion, helps you to have patience, tolerance. It's like, oh, you don't understand where your pain is coming from. And it helps you to change how you behave and how you respond to your player.
That's really good, because we always think everybody else is there to fix us or help us or heal us or whatever, and we have to go on our own journey. We have to go on our own, only us. We have to take the responsibility. I just had this conversation this weekend. We have to take responsibility for our own actions, our own healing, and stop reacting to things. But I mean, those are all things that we've been programmed with, right? And so we have to reprogram those. And so yeah, that's all really, really good.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and to add to that, what I didn't realize is I was coming from a place of not loving myself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Always.
And I didn't even know that was a concept at that time. When you love your kids or your parents or your dog, as you say, I didn't know about loving myself. So how do you get that out into the world? How important it is to love yourself going into a relationship?
A lot of it is definition. If we don't understand the definition of something, there's no way we can apply it. So we talk about self-love. Well, what is the definition of self-love? Discipline. It's self-discipline. Okay, so then what do we discipline ourselves on? What am I doing? Without direction, we have a lot of reels, people talking, all these other things that end up being sticky notes on your refrigerator. And you don't know when to apply what sticky note when, because life is coming at you really fast. You know, when you get home, you go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I was supposed to love myself today. I think I'm going to have a glass of wine and go read. That's not it. Okay, so, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, when I look back, it's like you talked about the dog, you talked about the wine. Are we friends in another life?
Right. Well, because, you know, we're universal. We really are all one. And so when we understand that we're doing the same things because we were all raised under this veil of fear. You can't learn how to love under a veil of fear. And you can't correct yourself under a veil of fear. So we need direction as to what is actually love. If we don't understand the definition of love, we can't apply it. So we have self-love and then we have love. What is the definition of love? It's to not cause pain. There is no pain in love. Now, people will say, well, but love does hurt, Marilee. No, love doesn't hurt. The ego hurts.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when we start to understand, my ego responded that way. You know, I'm being nasty. What are my thoughts right now? Why am I being so judgmental? Why am I looking at her that way? You have to keep looking at yourself going, why do I do that? Everything that is not of love, that causes pain to yourself or someone else, is your ego. Stop doing that. And if we all learn and have an absolute guide as to, oh yeah, I'm making assumptions again. Now we've learned about assumptions, right? But there's other things like over-explaining, defending yourself. Stop defending yourself. You don't need to do that. Okay?
Is that ego?
Yes,
when we feel
absolutely.
Like we defend ourselves? Okay.
Absolutely. So in the game, I line out 51 rules that we are not to break while you're playing this game. And in those 51 rules, people go, oh my God, that's so impossible. Pick one at a time. And you focus on the pieces on your board. Now, what will happen is you'll realize as you're learning the game that everyone in your world is operating by breaking these rules every single day. And you're like, holy cow, we're all doing that. And it's like, where's this? Where are the pieces on the board? They don't have any. And this is why marriages fail. This is why parents and children don't talk. This is why businesses fail. This is why partnerships fail. Because you don't see what you're doing when responding. So on the board, when I name all these pieces, and there's 23 of them, the first one is your king. Your king is your honor and integrity. People, we talk about honor and integrity all the time. Do you know the definition? What does it look like? How does it operate? What do we do with it? Without a clear education on how we're navigating this life with each other, it's all Post-it notes and wine and dogs.
I know, exactly. Wow. So much information. I'm just like, this is something obviously I could have used many years ago, just to identify myself and what I had or what I didn't have, because I had a lot of didn't have. And I love that you talk about winging it, because I just talked about the other day, like with kids, it's our first time. We have to wing a lot of things. And if some people say, oh, if there was just a playbook, and this sounds like a really good playbook.
It's a playbook for life. It's the manual that we've never had before. It is why didn't I know this before? manual? Why didn't I think about that? Why didn't anybody tell me that love is, I will cause no pain. There's no pain in love. So I have to take responsibility and be accountable for my reactions, my responses, my thoughts, my deeds. Why am I not loving harder? Why am I not being kinder? You know why? Because in our head, we think we're good people. We don't understand what comes out of our mouth when we respond. Oh, I just defended myself. Oh, I just accused them of that. Oh, I just connected dots that weren't there. You know, and it's causing pain. And people, you know, it's like, I get offended. Well, no more getting offended. That's one of the rules. Can't get offended. And it's like, I can't get offended. No, because you control you. Other people don't control you. You're controlling your side of the board. You see, so it gets really deep. I show you how there's 5 gates, the 5 gates to recognizing your player, and I go through all of them. Most people stay in gate 1 and gate 2. They see you. I like the way you look. You have like a good vibe, right? So I'm going to get a little closer. Then you have a good personality. You seem bubbly and nice, and people like you. You appear to be successful. Yeah, you must be a good person. So now I'm willing to partner with you. I'm willing to date you. And then 3 months in, the honeymoon's over phase. We all know that, right? But right. So we've all accepted these truths, but how do we get past that? How do we get deeper into understanding what's in front of us and what I'm bringing to the table? We have to get out of gate 1 and gate 2. There's 3, 4, and 5. And so I go through those in depth so that you can see by people's responses how they're talking. From the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. What you're actually telling me is where your pain is. And this is when people come to me with their pain, what's going on in their relationship, whether it's business or personal. I can identify it immediately and tell you this is where you're at. And they're like, because we're always telling each other who we are and where our pain is. It's time to stop the pain.
Boy, some wow moments in here. It's fascinating. And how did that come to you? Or just through the game of life? Or I mean, I've never heard of a book like this. It sounds amazing.
Thank you. Basically, 15 years ago, I made a commitment to love and love only. And I mean love only. And in doing that, the devil came at me hard. And I suffered a lot of losses, and I had to make my way through that. And no matter what came my way, I made a decision that I was going to love my way through it. And it's something that people have a really hard time with because they don't see it coming. And it takes a lot of courage to let go of your ego in this world and say, I'm only going to stick to this very narrow path of loving only. And we have to understand what that means to even stay on the path, right? And that's where all the sticky notes come from. So what I've done is made it very simple so that anybody can understand it. We can look at it. We can look at ourselves in the mirror, and we can see everybody else and think, oh my gosh, we're all hurting. And this is why we're insecure. This is why we're having trouble progressing. I don't feel comfortable. I don't know what you want. What do you want? You don't have to know what people want. You have to know who you are. When I know who I am and I show up, I'm going to know who you are too.
Wow.
Yeah, I love all that. And to me, everything about what you're doing is the principles of the Bible. And God is love, right? Number one thing, God is love. And,
That's right.
and the fruits of the Spirit, when we die to ourselves and, we can have love, peace, joy, happiness, long suffering, we can have all of these things. And so, there's commands for a reason. There's commands for a reason. Sometimes we just need to shut our mouth. They're there for a reason to help protect us. And I love that
That's right.
a lot of the principles that you're saying, I'm like, oh, well, that lines up with the Bible. Oh, that lines up, And so I love that you are putting that in a spot for people it's the principles of life.
So Rachel, that's really funny. Very astute of you to say that. I mean, spot on. When I was going through the process of publishing the book, I actually submitted it to a publisher, very prominent publisher, and they rejected the book. And they said that it appeared to be more important than the Bible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there we have it. So yeah, Rachel, you're right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what I love about it is that, like people that may read, but maybe they don't read the Bible, right? And so like they're getting the principles, they're still getting the principles and the foundation of life. And so I love that you have put that together for people in such a way, and to bring people in, because if everybody did everything that you just said, like if the world would be such a better place if everybody just did what you just said.
Exactly. And to your point about not reading the Bible, if I mention the Bible or God, then immediately the ego comes out from others, right? Well, why the Bible? Why not the Quran? Why not It's not about religion. We're talking about love. We're going to learn how to love each other. We're going to elevate, understand where the devil operates, and put him out of his misery. Get him out of here. We don't need you anymore. And so it's a book for everyone. I actually have I do book signings at like the farmers market, which I absolutely love. And I have kids, literally 12, or was it 11 and 16, reading the book.
Wow.
That's so good to know. Because I think if I would have had that at that age, maybe my life would have been different.
You're absolutely 100%. But what I'm finding right now is it doesn't matter who you are, where you're at in life. If you're a CEO or you're a high school graduate, it doesn't matter who you are, stay-at-home mom. The information relieves your pain, and everyone has suffered something in their life, and they're carrying that in their cells. So that negativity, you want closure. You want to understand what happened to you in that relationship, in that situation, what is going on in your family, all of that. So it doesn't matter that your age is irrelevant. We need to understand what love is.
Wow, so important. And I know we're getting to the end of our time here, but can you tell our audience where they can get the book and where they can find you, have access to you if they have a question?
Sure. MarileeofSolana.com. You can go to my website. The book is available there. It is available on Amazon at the moment. And basically those two. And then that'll take you to wherever you want to go. And my email is there and other things are there. And I will be launching my app here pretty soon too, so that for those who, struggle with reading the book or something, they can get concepts and communication with the community and with myself to learn more and to polish their game. It's a lot of fun. It's very empowering. And it's information that people are just like, where did this come from? Yeah. So I love it.
It's really time to the
Amen.
love portion is so crucial right now. So
especially crucial because look at what's going on in our world.
Absolutely.
And we need to find truth. We need to find our footing. We need to understand where we're going, who we're supposed to be, and how we're going to change the world moving forward, because this whole thing is crumbling. And if we don't understand how love works now, well, then we're just going to recycle. Those people will recycle and learn it again.
I don't want to recycle.
Right.
No.
It's like, don't make me recycle,
Exactly.
This has been a wonderful interview. I've learned a lot. I want to read that book. I want my daughters to read that book.
Good.
My daughters to read that book. So
That is so fun. I love hearing when people are reading it in book clubs and they're reading it in their homes and they have family members and friends come over and everybody's discussing their take on whatever it is in there. Oh, I love it.
That's
So
awesome.
yes.
What
Yes.
a blessing you are. I'm so glad you agreed to come on here and talk about this, because I think we're at a moment in time where
Yeah.
it is so needed. All
Mhm.
you have to do is look around and see that people are struggling, people are unhappy, people don't like themselves. When you have all that going on, then you're judgmental, you're critical, you have every negative aspect going for you. And
Yep.
that strength of love can solve a lot of problems.
Right.
Mhm.
Because people have no hope, no direction. They have anxiety, depression. We need to get rid of all that, and not by way of pharmaceuticals, but by
Mhm.
understanding what happened. What happened to make us be so suppressed? We're going to
Right.
change. It's time for
Mhm.
love.
Time for love.
Amen.
Great.
Amen.
Well,
I love
thank you
it.
so much for being here today. This has been wonderful, and I know I've learned a lot.
Mhm.
Good. Well, I enjoyed it too, and it did go really fast. So Nicole and Rachel, thank you.
You're
Yes,
so
thank
welcome. You're so
you.
welcome. I'm sure we'll talk again.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, dear. Have a good day.
Awesome.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Nicole Harvick, and this is my co-host,
Rachel Best. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.